All right, as we continue this question, we had spent the time and set up the model. Now let's answer these three questions. How does a change in the response rate affect profit? What response rate does the company break even? And if we estimate that we have a 3% response rate, should we proceed with the mailing? So the first thing that we're going to do, question one, is the sensitivity of profit to response rate. So basically we are going to we're going to attenuate the equation. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to change a variable to see how it changes. Now, I could sit here and go, okay, well, I'm going to put in 10%, and then I could write down what this profit is, and then we'll put 9%, and so on and so forth. That doesn't really help. That's a brute force kind of way of doing it. We want to make things as easy as possible, and Excel makes it really handy to be able to do that. And the other problem with doing it in the brute force way is what happens once again, that variable cost of the mailing goes to 20 cents. It's going to change all your numbers. So we want to set this up in a way that it will automatically update, will automatically calculate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use what's called a data table. We're going to use a one-way data table, which means that we're going to change the response in one direction. So down here, I've already got it set up for a one-way data table. You'll see that here's our response rates. So 1 to 10. So we're going to have Excel run our equation with each of these response rates. And what we're going to need to do is when we do a data table, we always have to have the equation that we are attenuating in the data table. So in this case, we're looking at profit. So what I want to do is basically take this and drop it in here. Now we need the equation. So we need all those equations in there. So what we're just going to do is just going to go equals that cell. And so now I've basically duplicated the equation through there. Okay, so how do we do a one-way data table? So we're going to highlight all of the numbers that we're going to change plus the equation itself. And so in these cells right here is where our answers are going to appear. This cell here we're going to ignore. So we go to data. The data tab is where all the fun stuff happens. And we're going to do a what if analysis, and we're going to go to data table. Okay, now you can see data table, we've got two things that pop up, row input cell, column input cell. And that's talking about where is the data that you're changing. So in this case, this is a column, because even though it's each row is different, all of the changes are in a column. And so if it went along left to right, those would be in a row. So in this case, we're going to do a column. And so what we're doing now is the cell that we're going to pick is column input cell. It's telling us what cell up here do we pick to have it replaced with these numbers. So basically, I want to go to column input cell. I want to change the percentage. And so now what it's going to do is it's going to take this equation and it's going to go down through here for each of these spots. It's going to take that percentage value and drop it in for that. And we hit OK. And so there we go. And so all that did is ran the equation for us, and we can look at it. We're at 9%. That's 25,200. If we put it to 5%, you can see negative 6,000, negative 6,000. So it's all set. So that is pretty handy. Data tables are a great thing. And so let's actually now go and let's make a graph of this. So I'm going to highlight this data here. I'm going to go insert. I am going to go charts. I'm going to use an XY scatter chart because I have the X and the Y values there. And so we're just going to do it with just a straight line. We can have the markers on there to see each point, but we'll just go straight lines. And so now I have my chart. Now this is by no means complete because we don't have access titles. So let's do that. Let's make it a proper graph. And so this here would be response rate. We do not need a unit here because we got the percentages here. And then over here, we're going to change this to profit. Once again, we have the dollar sign here. We're in the United States, assuming it's US dollars. Okay, and so there we go. And we don't really need a chart title here. This would be profit per response rate if we're going to do it. And actually, one other thing that we could do is format axis, and then we can set it to, let's see, I want to grab where the cross value is. Actually, I think I grabbed the wrong one because I want to get the horizontal format axis, label position, maximum, vertical axis cross. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. And so we're going to do, I don't want to do maximum. Axis value, negative 50. Well, I could drop this down to negative 50, 1, 2, 3. Oh, and actually, you know, that is the wrong one. We'll leave that as automatic. Oh, this is what I want here. So I can put it at maximum value. Unfortunately, there isn't one for minimum value, and that's just to get it off the main axis. So negative 50, 1, 2, 3, negative 50,000. I typically don't like leaving an axis in the middle there, even though at 0, some people like doing that. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, so now that we've done our sensitivity report, we've got a graph here. We understand what's on it. We have all the data. So the answer to question 1 is we look at it pretty easy as the response rate increases. What happens to our profit? The profit increases in a linear fashion. Okay, so there we go. All done. So the second thing, we want to do a break-even analysis. Okay, so what is a break-even analysis? We want to figure out where our profit is going to be 0. So how do we do that? Well, now we can go here and we'll use something else that's in the data tab. We're going to use something called goal seek. So if we go to what if analysis, not data table, go to what if analysis, we're going to go to goal seek. Now, so what goal seek does is you're going to pick a cell, in this case E13, our profit, and we can set it to any value that we want. I'm going to set it to 0 because that will be my break even. And then it wants to know by changing what cell. And so we're going to by changing response rate because I want to know what response rate do I hit 0 profit. Now, obviously, this profit response rate has to be somewhere in the equation. You have to be able to trace this cell back to the cell because if not, nothing's going to happen, obviously. And so I'm just going to hit OK. And so now what it does is it goes through a bunch of solutions. It goes really quickly. It attenuates this until you hit a profit. And it says that we need 6%. That's actually not right. If I go and increase that by 2, you will see that my response rate is 5.77%. And so there we go. I need 5.77 people to respond to break even. So the break even response rate is 5.77%. Now the third question is, if the response rate is 3%, should they send the mailing? At this point, we already know the answer to that because we know that the break-even point is 5.77. We can look here and go, well, 3% is definitely going to be negative. We can come here and put in 3%. See, we're going to lose $21,000. So we have a bunch of ways that we can look at it. So 3, no, they should not proceed with a 3% response rate. They will lose money. And so there we go. So some basic Excel, all kind of really useful stuff for this class. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.